I've been thinking a lot about this past year, how it's affected me, how I've changed, and what I've learned. Let's start at the beginning. I'm gonna start by reading a conversation I had with my friend Alex right as this all started. He texts me and he says, so I wanna first say that I'm not a very big panic, freak out, and run to a bunker kind of guy, but basically it wasn't really on my radar other than just keeping tabs on it until last week when that lady from the CDC had that emergency press conference and said, like, it's a matter of when, not if. And we ended up having this whole conversation about, what's gonna happen next? Do we need to buy a whole bunch of toilet paper? Like, we were all there, right? We remember. I then remember about a week later going to a Wilco concert, and this whole time there was this eerie sense that we shouldn't be there. And I remember looking and there was a lone hand sanitizer bottle sitting on a table. Just as you're entering into the theater, one sanitizer bottle just sitting there. Like that was the reality. So fast forward just a few days, now it's Sunday, March 15th, and I remember opening up my phone, my email on my phone for work, and we got an email saying that if we can, we're gonna start working from home for the next week. And to me, I was like, sweet, like we kind of saw this coming, like we're gonna work from home for 2 weeks, knock this whole thing out, kind of hunker down, and then return to work. And so slowly more and more things got canceled that I was looking forward to. Concert tickets that I had bought Kaylee for Valentine's Day, tickets to All Pints North Beer Festival, and a Airbnb trip that we were gonna take with some friends. One by one, events from our calendar kind of started to drop off, and it started to feel like life was coming to a complete stop. This forced us to stay home, to quarantine, and to be really intentional about what we were doing and who we were going to see. And a lot of what that ended up being was just us seeing family, which primarily meant that we were going to be spending almost every single weekend at the cabin. This was going to be similar to previous summers. We would always spend time with family and go to the cabin, but this time it was different because it was going to be every weekend. Like, this was our only thing that we were going to be doing. My point is that we stopped thinking about what the next event was going to be. And so we kind of naturally came upon this idea of really slowing down. One way that I ended up trying to kind of embrace this stillness, this slowness, was by kind of being overwhelmed by everything that was going on. And so I made the decision that every time we were at the cabin, I was gonna put my phone away. I found that in doing this, I kind of naturally engaged in conversation more. I felt more brought in and closer to the people that were around me. There are a lot of ways that I've tried to practice moving slower and embracing stillness and living in the moment of life. And I think the one that I've most recently kind of gotten into has been film photography. I really like, how every single time I take a picture or get something developed, it costs something. I can't just, snap off a bunch of pictures and then choose the best one. I really have to, kind of slow down and live in the moment, take my time to figure out how to best compose the shot, right? And I think that this is going to be my preferred method of documenting my own life moving forward. And I think that this is definitely one of the best ways I have found to slow down and reconnect with my surroundings. And this perfectly leads me into my next point, which is lesson number 2, be intentional. Up until this point in my life, I feel like there was always a next step. There was always something that I was working towards. And I had this realization that I have been living a life kind of like a race, racing towards the next thing, racing towards the next semester and things will get better, racing towards graduation and things will get better. I was beginning to question what was next for me, what was going to be the next milestone that I can work towards. So I started to realize that there was more that I could be doing to get control of this right now. Part of it was slowing down, but the other part was about really living in the moment and making smaller, more intentional choices. This has impacted how I grow and maintain my relationships, but it's also impacted other parts of my life as well, like in my mental and physical well-being, whether I need to buy the next thing or if I'm content with what I have right now. or if I'm just simply sitting in the living room and reading a book with my partner. Trying to make more intentional decisions about how I'm spending my time and who I'm spending my time with is what I'm working on. And this also has a flip side too, which means recognizing when you need to advocate for yourself and say no, when you just need to kind of take a step back. There's this great quote by the philosopher and Stoic Seneca. How many have laid waste to your life when you weren't aware of what you were losing? How much was wasted in pointless grief, foolish joy, greedy desire, and social amusements? How little of your own was left to you? You will realize you are dying before your time. So saying no is really hard, and I feel like I've always been kind of like a yes person, especially through college. And so I've realized, where I need to set boundaries and when I need to just kind of like slow down and relax and be more intentional about kind of recharging my batteries. And this comes with its own consequences. It's not easy to say no. It's not easy to, combat that fear of missing out. But what I've really realized is that I am a better person to be around when I'm actively choosing to be there and be involved. And part of that means that I need to really choose what I'm doing and how I spend my time. I've realized that I need to advocate for myself in giving myself the space that I need. So these are two lessons that I'm trying to move forward with for the rest of 2021 that I've learned from the past year. As things open up, events start to appear on my Facebook feed, and as life begins to return to some kind of normal, it's going to be important for me to slow down, to be intentional, to document my life, and really to just enjoy in this search of happiness and mental and physical well-being. I'm curious what the past year has taught you, so please let me know down in the comments. I'd love to see what you've been up to and things that you've learned from this past year, because we've all, overcome so much and learned. So I'm excited to see what you've been up to, and as always, thank you so much for watching.